You're tuned in to Soul to Soul. We're your hosts, James and Kathy LaValle. And on today's topic, we're going to be discussing the psychology behind superstitious beliefs. Why do humans hold on to belief systems such as astrology, ESP, life after death, ghosts, folklores, and other superstitious beliefs?
Empirical science demands physical evidence that can be scientifically measured by the five senses, and they want to be able to reproduce these experiments to give similar results. So why is it that the polls are showing that over half of the Americans believe in things that have not yet been proved by science?
So in a world where humans have such an obsession with physical objects, why do so many people still cling to supernatural beliefs which have been around for thousands of years?
So today we're going to take a look at the three main areas of superstitious beliefs. First, we're going to look at how human beliefs are formed and maintained. Then we're going to look at the importance of superstitious beliefs for the survival of the human species. And the third point we're going to bring out is maintaining both supernatural, superstitious, and scientific beliefs. And it's often used as a measure of control and discipline within a society. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Well, first, let's take a look about human belief systems and how they are formed. The explanation about how mental processes for human belief systems were formed originated back in the 17th century. And the debate between two great philosophers, René Descartes and Baruch Spinoza. The foundation behind both the Cartesian and the Spinozian theories is that a belief system must first be comprehended before it can be assessed as true or false.
For instance, an individual cannot say that they believe in something or not if they have no mental representation of that idea already stored in a memory system. So if you're saying you believe in something that you've never heard of before, that may not necessarily be accurate, because you need to have a little bit of knowledge about the belief before you can really form a judgment on it.
Well, to break that down in a little simpler terms, how can you describe a color to someone that has never seen that color before? If they don't have a mental implant or image of that specific color, how in the world could anyone ever describe that color to that person?
Yeah, so once an idea is received, both of the theories agree that the comprehension is an automatic process. The difference between the two theories is in the way a belief is accepted or rejected. And we're going to talk a little bit about how each theory is kind of deals with that. So, the Cartesian theory of belief suggests that the comprehension of an idea is a separate process from the acceptance of an idea, where the Spinozian theory suggests once that an idea is comprehended, it is automatically accepted as truth until further assessment occurs at a later time.
Wouldn't you think that that would be where most of the people lie, though? I mean, as far as their belief and understandings. I mean, people, this is my idea of the way things are. People, I think, perceive something as truth once it's told to them without having it backed up, without researching it.
I guess that's how our beliefs kind of change sometimes when we get more information more knowledge about something, about a particular belief, then we can justify whether it's a true or false belief.
True.
But the Spinozian theory is basically saying that we first accept everything as true, where the Cartesian theory is he wanted to doubt stuff first. So he said that he would think things were false and then try and get the knowledge to prove. The Cartesian theory basically if that theory is followed, you're starting off as a skeptic. You're forming your beliefs as you comprehend. You comprehend and you create a mental representation of each idea or piece of information. Like I might read a news article that scientists have proof that there's alien life on Mars. Okay, so I've put in that information. I would immediately comprehend that statement, and I'd tag it with my current mental system, with what information that I already have about aliens and life on Mars. So I'm kind of categorizing that and tagging it with different labels, and regardless of whether I feel that there's truth in that statement, I'm still processing that inside, in the mind. A skeptic would probably wait until that evidence came for that proof that there was life, where in the Spinozian theory, they're just saying, oh, somebody wrote about it, that must be true, They kind of accept everything firsthand as truth. So the Cartesian theory kind of creates a skeptic, a natural skeptic. So if you're someone that tends to doubt things, then you might be someone that follows that theory. But if you're somebody who accepts things quite readily, then you'd probably be following the Spinozian theory.
But doesn't this all go against what researchers have found, in that it requires a greater mental effort to create doubt than it does to create a belief?
Yeah, because Descartes, he created a philosophy that basically says doubt everything, even when he might hold something as true. So that creates a skeptic approach to accepting and changing your present beliefs. If the norm were to reject most everything that we hear, then the Cartesian theory would create a skeptic attitude. So the Spinozian theory, acceptance it's a passive act, but the process to reject a belief requires a cognitive effort. So, I mean, can you imagine what the world would be like if we were all skeptics? We'd probably have to, as a natural process, want a lot more knowledge about something before we believed it to be true. And that could affect, what could that affect? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is advertising. I think we're going to discuss it a little bit later in the social theories of beliefs in advertising, how advertisers want us to believe everything they say. So
well, there'd be a lot less cons being pulled on people.
Yeah. So, if we were natural skeptics, then it would be a little more difficult to advertise to us. Now we're going to talk about the evolutionary perspective for superstitious beliefs. Author Dr. Michael Shermer, he's considered one of the ultimate skeptics, and he's the publisher of Skeptic magazine. He claims that evolutionary psychologists say that the humans are hardwired to think magically. And the evolutionary theory holds that the brain has been in a process of evolution for about 3 million years. But the theories of science and technology, which create facts and knowledge, have only been available in the educational system for a few hundred years. So what was happening prior to that time, prior to where science was becoming popular?
We've got a lot of catching up to do, don't we?
Well, there was a lot of superstitious beliefs that were out there, and people used those to play a role in their life. They used them for health, for their well-being. They used them basically for genetic survival of the human species. Well, look what happened before we developed drugs to treat symptoms of disease. We used folk remedies, with plants and herbs, and they were used to help the species survive. That was the only form of medicine that we had before science started inventing chemical drugs. So,
well, sometimes you wonder if you wouldn't be just as well off without the chemicals,
Well, today we call it alternate healing methods, and herbal supplements and energy healings and things like that. But science tends to look down on that as pseudoscience because they haven't really proven.
They are swinging to that mindset now, though. Science is.
They're becoming more open-minded about it and starting to test herbal remedies and things like that. But you know, you look back in the days, a tribe may have survived because the shaman was the healer. And if someone was sick or injured, they'd go to the shaman, and the shaman would use herbs and medicines and whatever methods they used to heal people. And that got ingrained into the human being that was necessary to survive. So before all the modern science took over with chemical drugs and hospitals and doctors, you know, the human species learned how to take care of themselves by these alternate methods. And that, over time, got ingrained into the human species. The evolutionary perspective is saying is that these alternate healing methods have been ingrained in the human race for thousands. Yeah, thousands of years. And you don't just, you know, you don't just
wipe that out of
in a generation.
Yeah, it's like almost ingrained into our cellular memory.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it probably is somewhat genetic. We still believe in those processes. Before they had instruments and ultrasounds to check on the sex of a baby or the well-being of a baby, you know, people used to hold a pendulum over a woman's stomach to ask questions about the sex of the child or the health of the child. Those type of things are ingrained within people who still believe those and use those type of things. So, you know, long-held beliefs that were socially ingrained within an indigenous tribe or a village, they assisted with their survival process. So the evolutionary studies indicate that the humans operate by repeated patterns that have produced positive results for well-being and survival. So for those thousands of years, people were practicing these alternative methods. It's hard for that to just suddenly go away. So,
well, it won't go away. They're looking back to the alternative medicines.
And as that still remains popular, you're going to see it take probably thousands of years for that evolutionary trait or a belief to be weeded away from the human species. So as long as we're still keeping those alternative healing methods open as a source of healing and to cure disease, there's still a need for it. They're still seeing it as a positive trait for the human species. It would take thousands of years to wean that away from.
Do you think it ever would, though?
The only way I see it happening is science would have to become so powerful that you would have to convince the entire human race that science was the only thing that mattered. And if they can't prove it using their methods, then it's not real. But to get the population of Earth to believe in that would be very difficult.
I can't see that happening because of one thing: free will.
Yeah.
People, humans, have the free will. I don't know, maybe you believe in predestined events. Predestiny. Maybe, maybe not. But there's always one thing that can interfere with that, and we're getting a little bit off hot topic, but that's free will.
Yeah, and as long as we maintain that, and it's necessary, and free will is used for survival, it's socially ingrained in people, it won't go away for a while, I mean thousands of years. So, what are some of the common superstitions that people are kind of have heard? And
broke a mirror, oh no, 7 years bad luck.
Now, the first time you heard that though, did you believe that was true?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to put it back together, glue it,
Exactly. I mean, you accept that as truth, even though it sounds kind of outrageous when you really give it some thought,
How about Friday the 13th?